because the corporate behavior is a job all by itself, and I only get paid for what? For the first time the other day in a meeting, I heard the person who was hosting and talking about let's take that offline. What the fuck do you mean by that? Why is it so hard to say, hey, let's talk about this after the meeting is done? Like, what is this behavior that we have to participate in that we feel like, and then don't let you be a bitch that minds your business. Oh my God, you might as well call everybody up in there and their mama a bitch. Because they feel like silence and being reserved is something wrong with you. And I actually feel bad for those people who come in like super, super hype and ready to be the personality hire, because you got to keep that shit up. The moment you come in on a day and you just feeling like just being a person and just being, existing, what's wrong? Are you okay? You don't seem like yourself, bitch. I'm fine. Why do I have to perform for y'all hosts every single day? And then if you like me, who is truly introverted and truly that corporate jargon shit pisses you off, say what you mean and mean what you say is my motto. I find it just terrorizing because people are just like, and I get it, being at home for some people is hell. You don't like your spouse. You don't like your kids. You just don't want to be at home for whatever your reason is be. However, I wish there was an option. If the job is able to be done at home, you either have the option to come into this office, or if you want to stay on 100%, go ahead and do that. Because what is the point of me coming in? I don't even understand hybrid schedules. It's like, are you confused in which one do you want us to do? And I kind of caught on because my last corporate job, they would have us come in once a month, which is light work compared to what these other companies. So I was grateful. But the once a month, scheduled in-house day was for meetings and catching up and giving you updates. And then on that one specific day a month, they couldn't even keep that shit afloat.
Okay. I don't know what's going on here because he's jumping all over the place. So I'm not quite sure. I mean, in one vein, he's talking about corporate jargon, corporate lingo. Understand it. And then in another breath, he's talking about, I guess, being yourself, introvert, extrovert, etc. Being consistent in who you are. And then in the last vein, it sounds like he's talking about work location, whether it's hybrid, in office, at home. So he's just kind of all over the place, really. So I don't know, maybe he just has some things on his chest he needed to get off, which I can understand that. That's no issue. So, but it makes it a little difficult to address them the right way. The one thing that I'll just say is when you get into corporate America, you need to know what you're getting into. I know that oftentimes we sensationalize corporate America at times. That's where you want to go. You go to college, you get a degree, to get you a nice, cushy corporate job. And that's just not what corporate America is. It's tough. It's a completely different world, completely different environment. And everybody, for the most part, is striving to try to accomplish more, get more position, more money, more promotion, succeed, be successful. It is a tough doggy dog world. It's not, it's not the fancy 9 to 5, put your skirt on, business suit and whatever, and do your thing. And because it's its own world, just like if you went to a different city or state, there is a way of doing things there. There is a lingo for those different cities and states. And so in corporate America, it's the same thing. And so if you're from the South and then you move to the North, the quicker you're able to understand how people communicate in those different areas, the more successful you're going to be. Same thing in corporate America. The quicker you're able to get in and understand how they communicate with inside of corporate America, the more successful you're going to be. As it relates to his comments around, being hired and you're one way and one day you have a day that you're not as I guess excited. Listen, I would just say be yourself. If you go through the interview process, try to be yourself. The reality is that it is a stage. As soon as customers come in, you should be on stage. When the customer comes in, you are performing. And so I do think that sometimes we forget that. I think sometimes you go into corporate America and you start thinking about, well, I'm just going to be me. I'm not worried about changing. I'm not worried about code switching. I'm just gonna be me, and really that doesn't work because half of the people there got bad attitudes in their real lives. You don't like your family members. Your family members don't really care for you. You have a very small select group of friends because most people you don't get along with. And so if that's the same person that goes into corporate America and you say that you're gonna be yourself, then shit, most people don't like you anyway. Or you don't like them. So if you go into corporate America with the same mindset that I'm just gonna be me, well, you're gonna have a personality that most people don't care for. The reality is that you have to go in and be a little bit better than yourself, right? You have to put on a show. You have to perform and be your best self in corporate America. Just saying that, well, I'm just going to be me doesn't always work. If you're hired because you're the butterfly of the group, they're going to look for you to be the butterfly. And granted, you can't always be that. You're going to have days that things don't go well, but they're hiring you for being the butterfly. So be it. But again, you can't always go into it saying I'm just going to be me and I'm not going to perform. Part of your job is to perform, and you don't have to be at Disney to be on stage. Every time you open the door, every time you're in front of a client, you're on stage. Okay, every single time. You're not the person that you're at home. You're the person that they hired. Cool. So let's hear the rest of it.
It was just like we were sitting in each other's faces for what? I don't know if people just need like some validation, like a hug or a touch. I don't know. But all of that come in office to sit up and look at each other for no fucking reason, it floors me. I have no idea what that is. The corporate small talk, the corporate laughs, the corporate me just being acting like I'm interested in what the fuck you're saying right now. Let me just go to my desk and handle my shit and go home. Y'all are not my friends. And I don't know like what we have to kumbaya for. If this was nothing but a job, I would have no reason to talk to you in real life. And I know I'm sounding mean as fuck right now, but I'm just being honest. This is what I be thinking. I just be like, girl, I have no reason to talk to you in real life. So there's no reason. And then, unfortunately, I don't know what it is about me because people see me and they tell me their business. They overshare. They give me their life story. It'd be unprovoked. All I said was, how was your day? If that. The things that I have heard from just that question alone. I'm like, how did we get here? So imagine, I don't know what the need is to feel like you have friends in the workplace, and it kind of scares me. Like, why do you feel so desperate to try to? I ain't saying making friends in the work, because I have made some very good friends in the workplace, but it just happened. It just happened because I was like up in your face all day and small talking with you. It was just because we had a genuine connection that we just happened to meet at work. So I don't know what that corporate need is to be a family, and I'm your right hand. No. Skip all that. What we doing that for? I have people calling to my job all the time because we gotta do this extensive customer service, bullshit. And I have people just saying like, "Can you be a person?" Like, I don't care. I really don't care about you talking about what you understand. I don't care about, and I can't be mad. I'm just like, I don't want to say this shit. I don't want. It's like I get like what's the like cotton mouth, like over repeating myself all day long. Oh, I'm sorry to happen to you. I understand. I hope to make it all better. Can I get my firstborn? Can I get my soul as well? Like, it's the bullshit. Corporate itself is bullshit. Like, whoever invented this persona of professionalism, I know we all know who did that. But that's a whole different video. It's a whole different, conversation. But it's exhausting.
Well, I wish he would have said it. I would like to know who created it. At least in his opinion, who created corporate bullshit and professionalism. But again, as he said, that's a different different conversation. Um, we have to start learning how to function in some of these corporate environments if that's where we want to be. Now, I emphasize if, because we don't have to, we don't have to work in corporate America. Sometimes we go to the drive-through, right? Whether it's McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, whatever, Panera, whatever fast food restaurant, whatever restaurant. And they have a bad attitude. And we say, well, shit, I didn't ask you to apply for that job. You applied for the job. If you didn't want to work at McDonald's, you shouldn't have applied for the job. Well, the same thing in corporate. It's no different. You don't have to apply for that job. You chose to go out, submit your application for that job, and apply. Why? Maybe you wanted to work there. Maybe you felt the need to work there. Whatever your reason was, you chose to apply for that job. They didn't grab you, on the back of your collar and force you to go there. So I don't quite understand why we constantly complain about it, opposed to trying to figure out how to improve, how to get better at it, right? And that's all I'm trying to do is, share a few of my personal opinions and experiences to help us get a little bit better. In terms of hybrid versus work at home, and his statement was, why people hate working in the office and prefer working at home. I hear everything that he's saying, but I think there's a reason why people go to him in particular and spill all the beans, right? Share their entire weekend. There is a reason. It doesn't happen to everybody, right? There are always someone in that corporate office that doesn't engage. People don't go and share their weekend stories. But the person that's most receptive to it, they typically get it. My guess is that he's probably receptive to it, even though he's here talking about it. Now, the benefit of working in the office opposed to working at home, there are quite a few of them, but I can't list all of them. But I will say that relationship building is much easier, much more effective when you're working in the office opposed to working at home. And even though you may say, well, shit, I don't want to make relationships. I just want to do my job. That is part of being in corporate America. It is essential for the success of the team that you establish solid relationships. Period. If that's not something that's important to you, establishing those relationships, why go? Again, go do something else. Just go do something else. But establishing strong, fruitful relationships is essential to the success of the organization and the team, and it's done more effectively when it's an in-office environment. When it comes to learning is much more effective in office, face-to-face. If there are some things that you need to, you don't quite understand, you have some questions that you need to ask or have answered, it's much easier when you're able to just go to the next office, right? It's much easier when you can go to the next cubicle. It's much easier when you can just sit there and see what the other person is doing. So the learning curve is much shorter when you go in the office opposed to being at home. Visibility. Well, one side of visibility is that, well, your manager can see what you're doing and watch you and micromanage, and that's one way of looking at it. But visibility also means that you can be visible to your managers, to your coworkers, to your supervisors, to people in other parts of the organization that may interest you. So visibility works on both sides. If you're struggling with something, then it's easier for your supervisor to see that you may need some assistance, for a coworker to also see that you need some assistance. All of that helps in terms of visibility and being in the office. Lastly, I would say that when they hire you, part of it is about your your acumen, right? Your ability to do the job. That's part of it. The other part of it is how are you going to work in the confines and the structure of that team and that organization, right? And collaboration between people makes the project perform better. Collaboration between each team member makes the project move a little bit better. All right. So when you work in your own home, you don't have that cohesiveness. You don't have a dynamic where teammate A, teammate B, teammate C, they're all working together in a team, right? And they're all functioning, bringing the best of each person to that project. Normally, it's a much effective process when everybody can come together and work together as a team, opposed to you being in your world, your home, the other person being in their home. When everybody can come together, the team works a little bit more effectively. So there are a number of reasons why, again, working from home is a little bit better than, working in the office is a little bit better than working from home. I know that we've all gotten comfortable with it to a certain degree. I do think that hybrid is a good blend, right? It gives you the times that you don't need to be working in a team, structure. You have that moment, but you also have the other 2 or 3 days that you can come in and you can feed off of each other's energy. So again, I would just say, corporate is a different world. And you have to learn how to play that game. You have to learn how to function within that world. Part of it is being and working as a team, collaborating with each other. And so I would encourage you to keep doing that. And if it's not something that you want to do, then cool. Move on. Do something else. Nobody forced you to apply for that job. You chose to do it. So since you chose, let's be the best that we can be. Cool? Anyway, thanks for your comments, and I appreciate you listening.